Hello, everyone. I'm Thor Gunderson, and it's time once again for Just Asking for a Friend. So, by now, you must know this is the show where we go out into the collecting community and we meet people all walks of life throughout the collecting community, people from the industry, collectors, content creators, artists, sculptors, people all walks of life throughout the collecting community. And today, we have a very interesting young man that's coming on to talk to us. I first saw him in the DCX group, making comments, making posts. And the next, he starts showing up on shows. You probably seen him on Casual Show and the Everyday Collector Show and the Friday Night Club. And he's an avid anime fan. And I think you're going to find this a very interesting interview. I'm talking about the one and only, the Buck Fangs.
Hello, Thor.
Hey, what's happening, man? Glad to
I'm good.
finally get to talk to you. I mean, I talked to you. We did Salva Simula's art unboxing about a week ago. But
Yep.
yeah, man, good to
Yeah.
good to be able to talk to you.
Thanks for having me on.
So I like. Oh, it's no problem. I'm glad you can make it. So I like to start these out by because we try to get to know you behind the collection, and I like to find out where you from, where you grew up, and then like how transition that into how you got into pop culture, and then later on we'll get into how this the collecting stuff started.
All right. Oh, I should.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
go ahead.
that's a prompt for me
That's
to
you,
go
bro.
ahead. Yeah.
That's you, bro.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm from Nigeria originally. I grew up there.
Oh, okay.
I I was born there. I was there until I was 15. So I actually
Okay.
finished like elementary school, which over there is called primary school. And then after grade
Hmm.
six, go to grade seven. And I did up to grade 10. And then I left. I went to Canada, to a boarding school in Canada.
Hmm.
And I was there until grade 12. I finished my 12th grade there. I did like a little stint in university in Canada for 2 years or so. And it was basically like a programming, it was a whole amalgamation program of a bunch of different things: programming, entrepreneurship, and art. And the thing I was most interested in was the game art, right? Everything was geared towards gaming, but the thing I was most interested in was the game art. And as you progress through the program, there was less and less art to do and more
Hmm.
programming. And it started to feel like I started to feel out of sorts in that I wasn't going in the right direction career wise for myself because I wasn't
Hmm.
enjoying what I was doing. To be honest, like I could keep up because even when I was in in high school, I was taking like the science and math path. So I did like calculus, pre-calc, and I did physics and all that stuff, like for grade 12 and stuff. So when I went there, like I was thinking, okay, this should be fun. I don't particularly love this, but at least I know how to do it. And so when all that complex stuff was coming up, at first, I thought I could tolerate it because in the end goal was becoming someone who makes video games. But it was just not fulfilling inside. I was kind of bored. And so I
Hmm.
returned to Nigeria for a year. Um, and then I found a school in the US, uh, down in Washington State on the West Coast. And funny enough, it's called DigiPen. And so I went there. It was a really good experience. I learned a lot. And this school I went to is mostly just for digital art. So I went there and I graduated from there during like just like right after COVID 2022, in like April, May. That's when I graduated. And yeah, been after that I was looking for work and then I found a job and now where we at.
So was it any like did you grow up gaming and is that what got you interested in wanting to create video games or was it like any particular game that made you want to go this route or
That's a great question. In terms of like this route, you know, I've always loved pop culture. Um, and I guess instead of saying as like my first passion would have been cartoons, and
Okay.
I loved cartoons. I just loved watching them, and I really enjoyed watching cartoons. That was something I was obsessed with. It seems weird to say like, oh, um, yeah, every kid loves cartoons, but I think to a more extreme degree, I like them. And I still like doing stuff like playing football outside, but when all my friends want to do that, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we've played for a while. It's like time to go watch cartoons, man. I don't know what
Right.
you're
Oh
doing, but
yeah.
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 And so there was that, and then my next passion, my next love, it came in the form of video games. And
Okay.
even though I'd played like old retro games on like emulators, I don't know if you know those like DVD players that could also play like N64 games and Sega games.
Like the
Um,
Raspberry Pi kind of thing, or
yeah, but funny. It would be on a DVD player in my country. It would be
okay.
you buy a DVD or a CD player or DVD player, and it could also play video games, and it'd come with the little wired controllers.
Okay.
And so I'd play like Contra on that,
Oh yeah.
Legend
I remember
Legend of
Contra.
Cage, like
Legend of Cage was vicious. Oh my
yeah,
god.
man,
Yeah.
dude, I still remember the song. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that game was fucking hard, or maybe I just sucked because like back then you just never
No, it was
know.
hard. That game was hard.
Hmm. Yeah.
One I don't know if you ever played this one. Way back in the day. One of my favorite games was. It was really simple, but elevator action was one of my favorite games.
I
And
believe I played that. It would have been
yeah,
on the emulator too.
it was probably on there. And Bionic Commando, the one in the arcade,
Yeah.
that was fun. I didn't know you played those old school games. I thought you played some of this newer stuff. But yeah, that's when games were games. I mean, they're good now. Don't get it twisted.
Hmm.
But that was when it was the golden age, in my opinion.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
and Contra, I think my favorite Contra was Contra 3 because that me and Rodney played Contra 3 to death. That was on Super Nintendo. But
Hmm.
the first one, up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, BA, start. That's how you got 30 men, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So now here's a question. So like in this in so like you actually is the actual designing of the game like creating the artwork in the game? Is that what you've been studying to do or
Yeah. So, like, in terms of context, in the school I was in Canada, there was a lot of design work, so game design, so like the gameplay systems. So there was a lot of that that I learned. I hated it as well. The one thing I kind of hate, like, it's very odd in some sense. I enjoy going into the theory of stuff and making things when I'm doing it on my own. But whenever I'm in school and things get like technical in that sense, where we're just
Mm,
going into theory in a class that's mostly about theory, I get very bored and I can't pay attention. But when I'm learning those kind of things on my own, I can be very obsessive
mm,
and I'll like figure it out
I
myself.
agree.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so I hated doing that. Now, what I do, like what I learned in the school in the US was, you know, all the art related stuff, design work. So,
Mm,
um, currently my specialties, or at least the things that I'm dabbling in, would be, um, and in order of like, I would say the skill that's at a professional level is making hard surface models um, at like realistic fidelity.
mm,
Hard surface, and so the terms in 3D that we use to distinguish different things is you have organic and then you have hard surface. And so organic stuff would be anything like a human character and
mm.
things without hard angles, right? And flat planes. That's organic, right?
Okay.
And then you have hard surface, so stuff like a table, my keyboard here. a
Mm-hmm.
mouse, any kind of object that is, this would be a hard surface object as well. Take that. So you're starting to get it, right? Anything that's made out
I
of
am. Yeah.
mostly geometric shapes,
Okay.
right? And then to make that look realistic in a game, I'd say that's what I'm most proficient at a professional level.
Okay.
And then I do 2D illustration and 2D concept art. Uh, I think I'm really good at that for like making characters, like designing them in 2D, and also illustrating the characters as well, along with the environment. I can do that to a like good level. I wouldn't say it's the people I really admire. I'm not as good as them. Definitely not. I would call myself like I'm I'm like at the very boundary between intermediate and advanced
Okay.
in terms of like doing like illustration for characters. I want to say that I can draw. I'm very confident in my ability to draw stuff. So I would say that's I'm good there as well. So I can do character stuff for 2D, and I can do like environments, and like if you want an illustration, I can do that. So I have a lot of character designs on my portfolio website. Then lastly, the thing I'm working on, I think I'm okay. I'm not the best. I understand the theory of it and what makes cool designs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the technical skill and being extremely proficient in the software is like 3D characters, making those, right? I know how to use ZBrush,
Mm.
right? But I would say in terms of all the software I use, it's
That's
the
where I was
weak,
going. That's where I
it's
was
the
going.
weakest, right? Because and when I say it's the weakest, it's like there's so many software you gotta learn when you're at school and doing like 3D art. Like you gotta learn how to render your stuff with the rendering software. There's a different software for that. There's a different software for texturing the model.
Hmm.
Then you gotta like use a different software to make it game ready. So make it simple and optimized so that when it's in the game, it doesn't take too much space and it doesn't cause performance issues. The process for that is called retopology. There's a different software you use for that. And then there's the main software. If you're gonna do like organic stuff, you use ZBrush, right? You can do some hard surface stuff in ZBrush as well, but Maya is better at doing that, which is Maya would be the thing I'm very, very proficient at, and that's where I make
Hmm.
like all my hard surface stuff.
It's like, so if you, as far as statues go, do you think you could do sculpt a statue if you wanted to? Like, it doesn't have to be like, but like if you wanted to do like a basic statue for print, like if you, I know you like a big Spider-Man fan.
hmm
If you wanted to, you think you could sculpt the Spider-Man statue and have
Mm.
it printed off, or have you ever tried or thought about it, or?
I have thought about it, and the
Mhm.
thing is, I can 100% do a Spider-Man statue, start to
Mhm.
finish. If I had a 3D printer, I would print it and it would exist. It would be, will it be to the
Right.
standard that I want, right?
I got you.
Like the thing is, even these professional companies, we complain a lot about a lot of things. It's easy to
Mhm.
look at something and criticize it and say, "Oh, this is not to my standard. It's not what I like."
Right.
But that's me as a
Right.
collector, right? Now,
Mhm.
on whether I can execute that even to that level as an artist myself,
Mhm.
if I'm being honest, I'm not there yet, right?
Mhm.
The level I can execute to as an artist in ZBrush, I want to say I'm going to be much slower than the professional artists working in the industry. It's kind of hard to really gauge my speed because I'm thinking about when I was in school and I'm taking multiple classes and I gotta
Mhm.
like stagger my projects for each class. But I would still say I'm gonna take much longer than a professional artist working on the organic characters. Uh, and when I'm done, I can make something. So there's some custom statues that I would say they're not that great. Oh, I could
Mhm.
definitely make something to that level,
Right.
100%. When it gets to the level of Sideshow, XM, Prime One, No, definitely not there yet. Definitely not there yet.
Okay.
I can't do stuff, but if you ask me to make something in 3D as a character, yeah, I can make
Hmm.
it. It will it be to the standard that I want, that I'm exacting, that I want from the
Right.
companies?
Right.
If I'm being honest, no, it won't be that good. But I
Okay.
can definitely make a character. My final one of my final courses I took before I graduated was we had to make a character design one, and we 3D printed it and then you paint it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that was like a it was kind of a new class, experimental. So
Hmm.
yeah, but I took that, and yeah, it was one of the classes I took before I graduated.
That's very interesting stuff because I was wondering when we first discussed it. I wonder if he could sculpt a statue. But before we move on, what's the portfolio website address so that people can check it out?
So a gigabyte.
Hmm.
My last name is very hard to say, and like a lot of people when they try to say my last name, they screw it up and say it like that.
I know
So
exactly what you mean.
I just go like, yeah, I guess that's my name now. So online for like my portfolio, it's ADIGA, then BYTE, like like kilobyte, megabyte, or
Byte,
gigabyte.
kilobytes.
BYTE, yeah, so a byte, yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's on ArtStation, artstation.com. So if you just go artstation.com/, a gigabyte, you get to my portfolio website.
Okay. All right. So check them out, people, when you get a chance. So now getting into as far as the cartoons go, so I'm guessing that transition into getting you into anime, and
Hmm.
that's where you love for anime came. So like, what was your like the one that dragged you in, or was it several when you started getting into anime? Because I know you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan. A friend of mine
Hmm.
actually got me to watch Dragon Ball Z because I wasn't a big fan of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z was vicious in my opinion.
Hmm.
So to talk about that
Yeah,
for a second, yeah.
it's weird. I got into Dragon Ball Z through the video games,
Okay.
um, which is like, how old was I? I was pretty young, maybe let's say between 7 to 10 years old.
Hmm.
I my dad, we had a PS2, and then my dad brought back a bunch of games from a trip he was on. It was weird because in Nigeria it was hard to get like stuff like this. Y- To even get games, like it was mostly if my dad would travel, and then he'd come back, tell him, "Oh, can you buy video games for us?" And so he just bought like a bunch of random games one time, and what he got was he got Dragon Ball Z, right? Budokai, Dragon Ball Z
Oh, I
Budokai on
played
the
Budokai.
PS2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I played Budokai. Yeah.
and I remember getting that. And I'm like, oh my God, yes! And like, so that was the first one. That was pretty cool. The thing that was pretty crazy about that game, I at the time I had no video game understanding, and
Mm,
so when I tried to play the campaign, the story mode, the first fight you fight Raditz, and there's a
mm,
point where like move you need to move Raditz your because you're playing as Goku, and you need to position him in front of Piccolo, so Piccolo can like do the special beam
mm.
cannon and kill
Oh, you
both
can
of
do the
you.
yeah.
And on the controller
Right.
it says roll the analog stick, the left analog stick, and it doesn't say it, but it shows it on screen, and I didn't
Mm.
understand. Like, and I was like, this game sucks. I don't know how to play it. Why doesn't it make it so? I dropped the game for maybe a year, and then one day someone
Wow.
comes to my house, and then like, because I didn't understand how to play that part, and then like, there's a whole bunch of other games I could have played. And someone comes to my house, they pick up the game, and they like, and then they start rolling the stick. Like, I don't think they even knew what they were doing, and it started moving. I'm like, and then I figured out that's what you're supposed to do. And after that, I played the whole campaign. I beat the whole thing. It goes up to the Cell Saga at the end of that, you know, and I played the shit out of that game, the versus, the World Tournament mode, and like the campaign, and I became a huge fan. But it wasn't until I was, I think, 12 or 13, I actually came to the
Mm,
US on holiday, and we stayed at
mm,
my aunt's house, and my cousin, he was a big manga guy. So
mm,
we had like all the whole Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z manga like
mm.
collection. And that whole holiday, I was like, I was living in his closet reading his like manga collection. I read everything because I had to read it all
Yeah.
before I could leave. But the thing is, at the
Mm,
time when I read it, they were still releasing the volumes. Because
okay.
they in America they released them in volumes, so but they were they were just about to finish, and it was volume 25. And I remember begging my dad to buy me the final volume of Dragon Ball Z. And so we went to Barnes and Nobles, and we got that. And I read that final volume 25, over and over and over again. I think it was 25 or 26. And over again, I took it to Nigeria, and then I had it for the longest time until I left for like boarding school. So
Mm,
that was like when I fell in love with Dragon Ball Z because it was the very first manga that I read. I'd um I'd watched bits of anime here and there, but like that's where I was hooked, right? And so one thing that me and my brothers would do, I think Naruto was airing at the time. We would we would like gather on our computer with our crappy dial-up internet, and we'd watch one episode per night of Naruto
mm.
on YouTube. Because like
Okay.
back then, it would be like part one of one, part one of three. They'd be like they split the episode into three parts, and it will be a struggle to find the version with English subtitles because a bunch of them will
Mm,
be Spanish, German, and it's like you have to find the version that's the entire episode and like all the parts in English. And so we'd watch that. We'd wait like maybe an hour or two for which one part to load because using dial-up internet. This by when internet was really crappy. Trying to
right.
watch the
Yeah.
YouTube video, and you just wait for everything to like load, and then you sit down and you finish your one episode. And to think that back then, you couldn't even binge something. You just watch one episode per
One
night.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I got into what dragged me into Dragon Ball, like, cause I saw the Freezer thing, and I was like, yeah, this is okay. But from the Android saga all the way up to Cell, that's some of the best cartoons I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? And everybody else, I know everybody else loves Goku. I know Goku's your favorite character. I mean, he's cool and everything, but Piccolo was always my dude. Like, cause I'm a fan of smooth people, and I thought he was like the smoothest cat on there. And I always love when he take his shoulder pad off and throw it, and the thing sound like
And
it
then
weigh
breaks the
like eight
ground.
hundred pounds. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I love how he trained Gohan and everything. And then even that part when Goku was like, "No, Gohan gonna fight Cell," and they were like, "Man, are you crazy?" And he was like, "No," he said, "This cat is powerful. You don't know." And then Cell out there just stealing. He's like, "You gonna come down here or what?" And Piccolo like, "Look, man, I don't care what you gonna do. I'm going." He said, "No, stop." And then that's when and that was a great saga. And
Hmm.
the Majin Buu stuff to me was okay. The cool part was when Vegeta allowed himself to be charmed and him and Goku started fighting and everything. But yeah, Dragon Ball was great. I watched a lot of older anime like Vampire Hunter D and Go 13. We watched and A Fist of the North Star. I think my favorite anime
Hmm.
out of all of them got to be Ninja Scroll. Like Ninja Scroll to me is what anime is supposed to be. That's like one that's better than some real movies I've ever seen you know.
Hmm.
So, but like a lot of the new stuff, like Naruto, and I've never seen it. I got to be honest
Hmm.
with you. But yeah,
Even,
anime is good.
even the stuff you mentioned, like I watched it too because, like I said, it's like so there was games and then anime came. And the thing about me is like I get obsessed with one thing and that just becomes that's what I do for my free time, right?
No, I get
I
it.
still
I
played
totally
video
get it.
games, but like anime was like my main passion, right? And so I went back and I was watching a bunch of the old episodes. And as internet got better, it was easier to like binge a whole show. So like stuff like Golgo 13, the guy's
Mm,
an assassin. Yeah,
yeah.
I watched that. I watched Vampire Hunter D. I watched
Mm.
Ninja Scroll. So I was going back and I was just like watching all these old anime. Yeah.
So okay, now transitioning into collecting and the statues. Like when did you first your interest like what dragged you into that and how'd you find out about statue collecting?
So the way it started was when I was in Canada, um, and this was after high school. I finished high school, and then I was in college for a brief while. I
Mm.
moved into like a townhouse with a bunch of friends. They were all like super nerdy. We were all in the same program, but yeah. And so one day, everyone's like, "Hey, let's go to like a local like anime convention." I'm like, you sure for real? Okay. And so we went there and they were selling like bootleg Dragon Ball figures and stuff.
Ha!
And I was like, it's cheap. You know what? I'm gonna get one of these. That's how they get you. They get you with the cheap one slowly, and you're like, I can just spend a little
Yep.
bit more, pay for this, and then you're like,
Hmm.
my
Yep.
shelf is looking a bit unbalanced. Wait, when did I buy a shelf for this? Like and just like that,
Exactly.
you know. It all is just building itself, and it wasn't until I was buying like small anime figures, and mostly it was Dragon Ball stuff, like and because those are like they're still pretty affordable. It's, nice. I'd get them, and it was when I was in the U.S. in like college here. I think it was 2018. I saw on I saw like an ad. No, I started using Big Bad Toy Store to buy my figures. And then
Okay.
I saw like an XM statue. I think it was a Catwoman Samurai. And it was selling for like 900. I'm like, who is insane enough to pay that for something on
I
your
love it.
on your shelf? And it
I
was on
love
sale.
it.
I'm like, so
I
this isn't
love
even the retail price? Oh man. And I just thought, nah, never. I would never be
it.
stupid
Everybody
enough
said
to
it.
do.
Everybody
And maybe
says it.
for like maybe like several months or yeah, I go back to it. Well, it's on sale. Start looking at it. I never bought it, but then Sideshow, like I don't know. I came across. I think because I was using Big Bad Toy Store, I started getting
Uh-huh.
ads on YouTube for
Oh
Sideshow,
yeah. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I saw that they were coming out with the Miles Morales,
Okay.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
premium format. That
Hmm.
was the very first premium format I pre-ordered. Right, I like first quarter scale statue I ever like got. At the time, I'd already had like some DC Direct stuff, DC collectibles, and some like other like the most I had spent on a single like figure would have been like around $260, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna spend 550 on a statue. Damn, man. And so I put the money down. I pre-ordered the Miles Morales, and in that time, all the justifications for why I can, start doing it started to roll through. Before the statue even came, I was like, you know what? I bought the Black Cat premium format on where did I buy it? I think I bought it on either eBay or the Sideshow did like a line of like the old Carnage where he's reaching out like that with a hand, and like
Yeah.
the Venom where he's like propped up on a statue
On that, you talking about the one on the clock? The
with
clock
one
is
hand.
broken up in pieces, and he's got the one hand. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they have like all the smoke effects on the
Okay.
base. So there's like there was a Black Cat in that with the Green Goblin. So they did a whole line for Spider-Man stuff.
Okay.
Um, so that was the Black Cat I got. I think it still like looks really good, but it was a modern costume, so maybe some people didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, today I might even still get it. It's a good piece. But then started happening just like that. I bought like the Black Canary that was out at the time. I told myself, these are the only three statues I will ever own. Then I'll never buy anything anymore. And before I knew it, I started watching you guys on YouTube. You start watching the unboxings, and like you just want to see more because at the time you don't even know where to go to like find out new stuff. So like everything is so new to you. You watch a video, you see a
Yeah,
piece, and it's the
it's true.
very first time you're seeing it, and you're like, "Wow, they do that character! I can't believe it!"
Yeah.
And I just stumbled across. I think the very first video I saw with you guys was, I think you and Rodney were unboxing the XM Iron Fist.
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
his. Was that his first XM? Oh, it might not have been. I
I
think
don't
he
think it
had.
was. I think at the time he had a Punisher or a Ghost
Yeah,
Rider.
he did get the Punisher. Yeah, he won. He won that Punisher actually on a
Hmm.
lottery, and then he got that Iron Fist was that one and the Samurai Poison Ivy. Those are his two favorite XM pieces. And I remember he
Yeah.
got that Iron Fist at a real good like $650. You know, which is that's part of the reason that taught me patience because like a year before that I bought XM Boba Fett for like $1,400, and 1 year later they were selling this thing for $700 shipped. I said, "Oh no, I'm starting to
Yeah.
wait." That's I ain't. I'm gonna just wait for this stuff.
And back then, 1,400 for a quarter scale was insane money.
Man, I'm trying to
And
tell you, but it was part that was with the shipping too. The shipping, was
hmm
like $300, and I had to hunt that thing down because like it was U.S. Postal brought it to my house, and then they didn't leave. I don't even think they took it out of the truck, to be honest with you, because they didn't leave it at my door, and they just left the thing. Yeah, it's at the post office. So I went to the post office. They were like, "No, it's at the
hmm
hub." I said, "Where's the hub?" So I had to go find the hub, and then it was sort of like something. I had to ring this doorbell. And the lady's like, "Hello, can I help you?" I was like, "Yeah, I got my thing," and I had to read her the numbers. Yeah, this is the number. And then she brings this XM box out. I was like, "Okay, thank God." And I finally got my piece after going in like 10 places to find it. But
hmm
yeah, man, it was it's. I always love to hear people's story, like because everybody goes through. I ain't paying that much for this crap. Are y'all serious? And then it's like, well, I'm gonna just try one, and you get that one, and you're like, wow, you take this thing out the box, and next thing you know is
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So Spider-Man's your favorite character,
And
right?
like it was crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. But even I want to speak more to the like whole like how I found your
Okay.
channel like DCX because you guys don't know how many all-nighters I did, and because of your long ass streams, I just play like DC. I'd be in a classroom
Oh god.
in my school. I'd arrive right as it opens, and I'll go to the main computer and I play on the projector DCX videos while
Are
I'm
you
doing my work.
serious?
I'm serious, 100%. And like you just put like a DCX playlist, and I'm working while like I'm listening to you guys talking on the screen. Yeah, and like it was my favorite part was always like when you get to the pictures, with the it was I discovered customs because of
Oh
DCX,
wow.
and like you guys always like doing the image segment, and so I see a lot of cool like stuff. It was pretty awesome. And then that was when the whole reason I even started using Facebook again was because of DCX. Because people my age we're not using Facebook, and so like I just started using Facebook again because I wanted to be active in the groups and like see what was going on.
So did you see that one where Cartel came on and we literally stayed on till 5 o'clock in the morning?
I believe so.
Oh my god, dude! I was like, and he just kept going. I said, Cartel, it's fine. I said, bro, we got to get off of here, And far as like with Facebook, I never wanted to join Facebook at all. Like never at all, because like it's people from
Hmm.
high school and stuff I don't want to run into. And so I know what you mean when you say you tell people your name because the Thor ain't my real name. Everybody knows that, but my real name is Paki, Paki. And when I tried to put it in Facebook, it kept saying we need a real name. I was like, okay, so that's my name. What y'all want? So it didn't believe that's my name. So then, I left. People like, did you? I said, say my name was. They said use a fake name. I said, I thought the point of this mess was that people can find you. And so I was like, all right. So of course I tried all the Star Wars stuff. Ain't none of that work. And then so I was watching at the time. I was watching a show called Hell on Wheels, and the
Hmm.
villain's name was Thor Gunderson. and he was a trip. So I like this. I put that in and said, "Welcome to Facebook." I said, "Y'all believe this, but you don't believe." I said, "Okay." So then, that's when I joined Facebook, and to really for the hobby, because I could get into the statue groups. It wasn't because I
Hmm.
wanted to join it, but yeah, that's how I was the same way. I didn't want to get on Facebook either. And so like where did the collecting journey? Because I know you did have. I don't know if you sold it or not. You had that custom Spider-Man with the Venom.
I
That
did.
was yeah. Did you sell it
Yeah.
or you kept it?
That piece was a huge disappointment.
Really?
Yeah, I was really looking forward to it. I was so hyped.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I got like maybe three pieces actually in from that group,
Hmm.
and there's one I had on pre-order. I paid it off, but like I wanted to sell it. The commissioner said you're not allowed to like post about this outside the group. Even though I'd already fully paid it off, I'd just
Hmm.
collected the money from someone else, and all they would have to pay was shipping to the commissioner when it's ready,
Oh wow.
right? But like, because I didn't want the piece anymore. And the reason why I didn't want that is because aside from the very first piece I got from them, everything had like an issue that was like it made me
Mm.
go like, did I actually pay X amount of money for something that's this flawed?
Hmm.
You know, because
Right.
you paid like that shipping would be 250 per box, like
Hmm.
256 if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
And then you pay the price that's like 1,000 plus, and then you got to pay the eBay, like the PayPal fees on top. And once you add it all up, you've paid like maybe 1,400 or more for each statue,
Oh wow.
right? And like just to get it in. And so when it comes, you're like, wow, man, why is it like not that good? The paint is a
Right.
bit crummy.
Right.
There's like you see visible bubbles where there's casting
Oh
defects
my
on the
god.
piece, you know?
Wow.
And you just ask yourself, how can I pay Prime One prices and not
Right.
receive Prime One quality?
Right.
And and then this is also a quarter scale, or it's like it wasn't. They're doing like one third and a half, so it was between quarter and one third the size. And so you're like, this is smaller than Prime One. I'm paying as much money, and it's not as good. That is unacceptable, you know.
Hmm.
And so after like the third piece was that Spider-Man, and when it came, it had so many issues. When it arrived, some parts were broken, right?
Hmm. Right.
While I was trying to put it together, pieces were breaking,
Oh.
right? Because
Hmm.
they don't fit properly, right? And there was like a lot of weak magnets, and the whole engineering was garbage. That piece is
Hmm.
engineered in a terrible way. I remember they were supposed to make the Venom arch out of PVC or
Hmm.
ABS, and they really should have. If they did, that piece would be so much better, but they made out of resin, and because there's so many thin pieces, it just breaks so easily.
I see.
And so it was quite a nightmare. I was trying to put it together. I remember the first time I tried to put it together, I spent about 2 hours and I literally gave up.
Wow.
At that point, I was a pretty experienced statue collector. I should be able to put a statue together. I gave up and then I just spread it on the floor in my room. And
Hmm.
there's so many pieces. I didn't even have the energy to take all the pieces and put them back into the boxes.
Wow.
But that statue was so expensive, and shipping was 250 for each box, and there were two boxes, so you pay like 500. Um, and so went all that headache. So this is not
Yeah.
worth any statue. Like
Yeah.
fuck all the hype. Customs is just like so much hype. That came in, and I was really upset. That was what made me like say I want to sell my pre-order for the. Because if this is the shit you guys are putting out,
Hmm.
like fuck your group, man. It's not worth it. Because even amongst customs, that group is very expensive. And most customs are like 800 and
Hmm.
something, or like maybe on the more expensive end, like 900. But like this guy was charging us like 1,000 plus, right? And that's before shipping. And
Hmm.
and I'm just, then again, it's bigger, but to what extent will that, doesn't matter. Either way, I
No,
didn't
I get
like
it.
that.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I said, if I'm gonna buy a custom statue again after that experience,
mm,
it has to be from a group that has a good track
mm,
record of
mm,
delivering a product that is good, like in hand, right? And not only that, I don't want any ambitious, crazy pieces
mm,
from custom groups because I know they'll fuck it up.
mm.
And then the excuse, everybody is sucking dick. You're like, well, this has never been done before. It's so revolutionary. Oh my god! But it's like
That's a
I
good
don't know.
voice. You just
I don't know how anybody could have that statue. Like unless like you don't value your money or you're just like stinking rich. I don't know how you can get that piece and be happy with it. It has too many flaws, and it got like I spoke to other people who had it. They were in the group that bought that piece. They're not too crazy about it. The only thing that was my saving grace is that even with all the breaks I had on mine, because the hype around
I got you.
customs is so crazy and the hype around that piece
Mm-hmm.
is so crazy, I was able to sell it and get all my money back. But all in, that statue cost like right around, it was I think 1,960 something shipped to get it in hand
Mm-hmm.
after all the fees and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold it to someone for 2,100 shipped. So I basically broke even because I still had to pay to ship two large shipping boxes.
Right.
So, and when it got to him, one of the pieces broke, and I'm just like, if this guy sends this shit back, I'm gonna kill myself. And so I told him I'll give you 150 like for this broken piece. I didn't even care like the size because I'm just saying I don't want this back as a piece of garbage. And the guy took the discount, and I'm never dealing. I don't think I'll ever deal with that group anymore. They have no, not even. I don't. I was removed from the group. It's not because I was complaining. It's because I wanted to sell. When I said I wanted to sell my pre-order,
Mm.
he didn't let me list the pre-order. He says you're not allowed. If you do it, you get kicked or something. And I said, how does that make any sense? People sell pre-orders for customs all the time, and he didn't want to let me do it. And so what I did, I shouldn't even have asked. I should just posted it on like the BSDs. I'm like,
Mm.
eh, but so he says, okay, what I can do is I'll give you a refund, but he said only a partial refund for the piece I already fully paid off. So I think I lost like 350 or something.
Mm.
And I got like 900 back. And I said, you know what? I don't have to deal with you guys again. I'll take it. And after he sent me the refund, he removed me from the group. Yeah, and that it's to be yeah, you know, I I think in the end, the way he treated me, I want to say it was fair. His treatment of me.
Mm.
The thing that's stupid was the policy that I couldn't like sell out. I couldn't sell my pre-order, and I'm gonna assume the reason why he said that is probably because he had issues with other
Mm.
people. So I'm gonna just respect that rule. It's part of the rules of the group. You join the group, you respect the rules. I think it's stupid, but you know, you respect the rules of the group. You join before you buy anything. You look at the rules, and you know what you're getting into. Fine. But yeah, so I'm no longer in that group, and to be honest, I wouldn't risk buying anything from them. And since then, I've seen more statues come out have issues, and when they
Mm.
want to even sell on the aftermarket, they're selling significantly less than they cost to buy. Like the a lot of the pieces from that group just like crash in price
Mm.
in the aftermarket. So, and this was before like things were really bad with COVID. So it was just a trend. I'm just saying because the thing that they really failed on, even though they have sculpts that are good in like the render, the castings are not very good from that group. The factory they're using, the castings are bad, and then also because you lose a lot of detail in some places, and then the paint job is awful. They do shit paint.
Mm.
Not a, yeah.
I think back then I think it was more of a gamble with customs Now, I mean, I don't know, I'm kind of spoiled because I collect Star Wars stuff, and the four groups I
Hmm.
deal with are really really reliable and have good reputation. And they put out quality stuff. So, but I have heard horror stories of people getting pieces, and like you say, stuff doesn't fit, and excuse me, things are breaking, and paint jobs are bad. So, but from that, we're running short on time. I know you want to get into the different statue companies and what they bring to the table, and so like, what's your view on, like, Prime One, XM, Sideshow, and now we got Legendary Beast, and and what's this guy, the dude that's cussing everybody out, oh my god, with these LBS, no, not LBS,
TCS.
not PCS. The dude with the Asian guy told everybody, if you don't like our pieces,
JND.
yeah, there you go, J&D. I knew it was three letters. There you go. All right, so get
Oh
into
man.
that.
Yeah. Like I think the hobby's in a really good place because right now there's so many, in terms of like options, there's so many like different companies offering you like options, just generally like so many licensed companies. You're no longer having to just go to like customs when you don't get what you want from Sideshow or XM.
Mhm.
You have more options. Unfortunately, that's still like mostly on the DC side, and there's still not that many options for quarter scale Marvel. But you know, like at least you have a lot more options in that regard. One thing that I found interesting is, how the different companies and their different like approaches to statue and their style is appealing to different aspects of the community, right? You look at a company like Prime One. For the longest time, they've been producing their one third DC pieces, and that
Mhm.
has a different flavor to it. But LBS is the new kid on the block, and
Mhm.
there's so much hype around their pieces, and they have a specific style that's quite different from Prime One, where it's museum piece. They don't have, for the most part, at least on the Marvel lines, they didn't have as much texture on the suits as you usually get texture on a DC Prime One piece.
Mhm.
And you look at that and you go like, but people are really appreciating this, and they like this storytelling based theme, and they really like this Thor and the statues and the feel that you get. There's this Alex Ross feel from a bunch of the pieces, just in general, from LBS, especially with the museum pose and the way they stand. And you just look at that and you get the feeling that different aspects of the community are being catered to with different companies. So many different people have a different favorite company. There's a lot of people you will ask, they love XM to death. Some people really hate what they're doing right now. And there's people that love Sideshow. And you look at the way they went, especially those are good companies to compare because they generally do a lot of the same products in the same scale. So if XM does a Spider-Man and Slasher does a Spider-Man, you get to compare both, right? And it's not, I know the price points are different, but sometimes it's not, I don't think it's unfair. Sometimes Sideshow still wins, like in terms of community sentiment in a general sense. So I just like the fact that we can get people that have a lot of varying tastes, and people can actually get to be satisfied by different companies. You know, the one thing that I wish collectors would develop a stronger taste for, though, or like understanding and nuance for, is like texturing on statues, the place for it, and it being done properly. Because sometimes you see like maybe XM will put out a piece, and where you're supposed to see fabric texture on cloth, they'll make it look like rocks. Like it'll be like sandpaper. What kind of cloth have you ever had that looks like sandpaper on it?
Right.
I don't know. It's weird. So like you see that and just like, and everyone's just like, oh, there's texture on it, and I wish people would like, start because XM can change it. They can do better on that front. So I wish people would ask them to do better
Mhm.
on that front so that they can produce even better pieces. That's just one example. And the reason why I mention XM is because they do a lot of texture. Sometimes I think it's overdone. But even if they're gonna do a lot of texture, choose the right texture for the material you're trying to represent. So if it's cloth, make it look like cloth. If it's rocks, make it look like rocks. If it's
Mhm.
metal, don't put a rock texture on metal, and or at least let it be believable. Always try to make the surface you're trying to present look believable. Don't just make it look like unrealistic by throwing a bunch of detail in it.
Or the pose, make the pose look believable,
Yeah, the pose
because
as well.
that's one problem I have with that. Because I know Rashid love it and everybody love it. I can't stand that XM Darth Malik, because the pose that he's doing, I'm like, what? Like, no, because I'm a Sith dude. Like, no
Hmm.
saber form looks like what he's. I'm like, what is it? Looked like he doing a Kamehameha. That's what it looked like. I swear to God, because he's doing. I'm like, what is he doing? And it's crazy because I love the Reverend. I can't stand the Malik. And when everybody said you
Hmm.
got to have both of them, I said, not me. I said, I just take the Reverend.
But
And
you got a Reverend behind you already.
yeah, that's Zion Art. And then the other one that's NYC Malik. But if I could get a hold of XM, because Rodney always loved this Reverend, I would probably give this to Rodney and just keep the XM one. And so what
Hmm.
is currently in your collection? What's your favorite piece, or just in general, a piece that you want to get? What's your favorite piece?
That I would like. Okay, so in my collection, my favorite piece is Prime One Goku.
Okay,
Uh, and that's sentimental reasons. Would I say it's the best statue in my collection currently?
no, it have to be the bet, but like that's your favorite.
That is my
Yeah.
favorite,
Okay.
right? I like a lot of different pieces in my collection for different reasons. Like there's some which I've gotten custom painted, and I appreciate them a lot more. Those ones I know I will never sell, and
Hmm.
then the Paramount Goku I will never sell as well.
You
Um,
got the Vegeta too, or no?
I got the Vegeta as well. The
Okay.
Vegeta came while I was in Houston. So it's in storage right now. I don't have any of my pieces out.
Hmm.
They're all in storage, everything. But yeah, the Vegeta I got it. I'm not gonna get the new Frieza. I think it looks bad. But I got
I
like
didn't see
a
that.
custom Frieza. They showed at the last event that they did. Yeah,
They have I
the
know
Frieza.
my boy Sims has a custom Piccolo by Daniel Bell. That's the only Piccolo statue I like, because one, he got the cape on and he got the turban and
Hmm.
everything, and that was a custom piece before he started doing licensed pieces. And I always, like, when I was
Hmm.
collecting everything, I always wanted that piece. And far as dread, but I gotta say, some of these anime statues are really really nice. Like, is one of this, I don't know what show this dude is. I don't know if it's Naruto or whatever it is. That dude Gara, I'm talking about, the guy, he can like control sand or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
Naruto. Yeah,
It's one statue of him where he's standing like this with his arms folded, and it's like he got this shell around and all these spikes and stuff, and
and the
that is
spikes.
one of the best statues I've ever seen. And Ryan, he
And
used to,
even the texturing on the sand is
yes,
crazy, right?
yes. And Ryan used to have it. He sold. I said, "You sold that piece?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I would have bought that piece from him. And that's some of the best texture on that. And even, I gotta say, and I'm about to get it back, but the doctor's fixing it. The XM Darth Maul, the texture on the sand on that base is amazing. So they
Hmm.
did get that one right. And but I gotta say, far as a line, and I think Crippler can attest to this, that Transformer XM line, I think that's like the best, like, piece for piece. I think that's probably the best line going today, is the XM Transformer. That's just my opinion. Like, some of the rest of them, like some of the other stuff they coming out, but like that, when you go from, the only one I don't like is the Megatron. Because to me, the face doesn't really look like Megatron to me. I don't know what it is, and that just throws the whole thing off. But like the Prime, the Starscream, the Nemesis Prime, the Dinobots, like, to me, they're all incredible. And I think that one line.
You know
Yeah,
what? I don't think I disagree. I think it's definitely up there.
yeah.
I think the only line from a company that I would say that like they're like knocking out of the park on just about everything as well, just like the XM with the Transformers, would be the Tweeterhead Master of the Universe line.
Okay, I could get on board with that.
That line, I think like just about every piece is a knockout.
Yeah, Tweeterhead, they putting out some good stuff. That's another thing. Nowadays, as opposed to when we first started, if you collected anything you were into growing up, or like they probably making it into a statue. You know, like it wasn't like that
Hmm.
before. Because I mean, for the longest time, like you watch these, everybody, you know, I had to sit there and watch all these people unbox all these X-Men and all it, and you know, and all I wanted was a Darth Sidious. That's all I wanted because there
Hmm.
was only one. Sideshow
Hmm.
made one, and he was sitting in the chair, but it was kind of dated. Like he had, it was mixed media robe, and it kind of looked like a doll. But I was gonna get it because I was the only one. And then finally, NYC came out with one, and now you know some other custom pieces have people have made one, and but like literally now, if you know you're in the Voltron and what do you call it, Power Rangers or Transform, like they making statues of everything now, you know. So
Hmm.
like you said, everything, and if not, the custom people are making it, you know.
And
So
so many scales too.
exactly now that's another thing.
Like
Now we're getting
I
into
think the scales are like broadened a lot.
yeah. Yeah, it's. I don't think I'm. I can honestly say I ain't never getting no 1/3 piece stuff, you know, because like I can barely deal with this quarter scales. Like I couldn't
Hmm.
imagine Plagueis. Like he's already big in 1/3 scale, you know. But do you have you got 1/3 in because the Goku
I
that's one
used
third,
to
right?
No,
Or
it's
is it, it's
quarter
quarter
scale, but
scale?
it's
Okay,
it's huge. It's like the size of a one third in
okay.
terms of like the space it takes. It takes up the space of a one third, but it's a quarter scale statue because of all those effects. And then he's like floating, and if you put the Super Saiyan 3 hair, it's like so huge.
Mm.
Um, the for instance, the Broly, they have a Broly from Sume,
Oh, okay.
and have you seen the XM Grimlock?
Yes.
It's about the same size as the XM Grimlock,
Oh,
and that's
wow.
a quarter scale, right? So the anime babies can be pretty big, depending. But I used to have one third. I used to have the Bermejo Joker from Prime One. I sold that. I also had the Guts one third Black Swordsman from Prime One. I sold that. I had Red Death. I sold that. I actually forgot J&D. I have the J&D Harley, and that's one third. So I still have that. Yeah, but those don't take much space.
Okay. Um, Now, as we were almost out of time, is there any piece out there that barring like price is no object that you would like to have, or you know that's out of reach, or something that came out before you start collecting, um, or something you've always seen that, or no, you pretty much
Mm, there's man, this is hard. For Marvel comic, there's like an Eric Sosa, like
hmm.
Hulk, where he's like in a E Honda pose, so he's doing like that almost. And but I think that's the pose from the Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I really like that Hulk. It has like three portraits for like red and gray and green. And if I could get that custom painted by a really good painter, I'd want that. And then from D&D, I would probably want the new Christopher Reeves like Superman
Oh, okay.
set.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd get like the Clark Kent and the Reeves Superman. Yeah, as far as other stuff that I'm if it's Dragon Ball Z, like money will not stop me if I like it.
Do you have that Sume Vegeta, or no?
I don't like it, so I don't have
You know,
it.
like Rodney don't even care about Dragon Ball, but he's always loved that piece. And I told him, I said, if you did like Dragon Ball, that's the dude you would like. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? Because he liked the Punisher, and
Yeah, he would definitely
that's
like
the dude he would
Vegeta.
like. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's ironic, I think, that he likes that he likes that piece.
he's always
So
cracking me up with his film reviews on
man, I've
Facebook.
been hearing that stuff for 30 years. I've been hearing that crazy mess. I'm like, okay, man. You know what I mean? But Buck, man, we out of time. We could have used another hour, but I want to thank you for coming on. It's been fun, been very informative, and you got any final thoughts or
Uh, you know, thanks a lot for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It's good to see that you're back on YouTube. You're like in some form, and because again, like I said, you guys, when I was in college, I would watch DCX videos like all the time. It was such a blessing to have like you guys making your live streams because it will put me through all my work sessions. You know how people would listen to like all my friends would be listening to like lo-fi music. They're
yeah,
listening to
yeah,
music while they work. I'm listening to DCX, and whenever I get a chance, if I have like an empty classroom
yeah,
and I'm working in there, no one else is there. I just turn on the projector like in front of the class, and I like you guys are just there on the screen, and like I turn off the music, the audio in the class, and it's just like you guys cracking up, telling your jokes, talking about statues, and so that was a really awesome time. I really appreciate that, and streams are they've evolved. They're no longer the same way.
true,
Now we don't talk so much as much about like the pieces
mm,
anymore. It's mostly just a hangout, but it's still fun. But definitely that time and that place, being there and being able to experience that's like a special moment in my collecting journey because it pushed me in like in the direction I'm at the moment. So like I want to really say thanks for all of that and yeah,
Oh
really
man, I
appreciate the place for
appreciate
that.
that, and I thank you for watching. And before we go, it's always something I always thought about because I know for a fact Sideshow used to watch everybody's stuff, and I remember one show I just thought I said, man, can you imagine them having this on in some boardroom somewhere? Watching this, you know what I mean? So that just always cracked. The thought of that always cracked me up. Them like these corporate dudes, and they were and looking at each other. I'm sure someone was laughing, but that's just something I always thought
Mhm.
about. Anyway, but thanks again, man, and thanks to everybody for watching. We catch y'all next time on Just Asking for a Friend. Catch you next time, everybody.